Minister, I have a question about the ongoing Senate reform. In June, Senator Dasko shared a poll showing that 69% of Canadians want future governments to continue appointing independent senators. Only 5% of Canadians want a return back to the partisan system. In May, our government representative successfully initiated rule changes to ensure fair treatment of independent parliamentary groups within the new system. However, the Senate still does not have rules to ensure fairness, transparency, and due diligence in our process for House of Commons private member bills, which are easily filibustered. In this area where you would like to see, is this an area you would like to see reform to ensure that appointed senators vote on elected MPs' bills as Conservative senators proposed in 2014 and as Senators Delphon and Sinclair proposed in 2020?
Madam Speaker, Senator, thank you for the question. I also took note of that public opinion research that was published. I happen to share that view. I think that Canadians have been well served by the very good work done by this place over the last number of years, and the appointments process and the kind of women and men that have asked to have applied to serve in this place and have been selected by the Prime Minister, I think speak to the effectiveness of that process. So I certainly am very proud of that and was happy to note that Canadians were as well. I also think that our government representative is doing absolutely terrific work in this place. And he comes to my Operations Committee of Cabinet that I chair. He would update us, for example, on some rules changes that he was proposing and the progress that he was making working with colleagues here around those rule changes. My Cabinet colleagues are always interested in hearing from Senator Gold on Monday afternoon, but we would certainly not purport to offer advice to honourable senators as to the appropriate rules that you would decide to adopt. But we would think it would be helpful and positive to have this place study private members' bills that come from the other place, but the mechanism to do that I would absolutely leave in your hands, and I'm happy to work with the government representative as we do effectively every week and sometimes many times a week. And he had kept us up to date around some of those rule changes, which we took note to be very positive.
Klyne.
The government's independent Senate appointment process has advanced reconciliation by giving a greater voice to many Indigenous peoples in Parliament and federal lawmaking, with about 10% of senators now being Indigenous. Will the government commit to maintaining this level of representation, and would you encourage any government of the day to do the same?
Monsieur le Ministre.
Madame la Présidente, Senator,
Madam Speaker,
there are a number of very distinguished Indigenous Canadians that have come forward and serve in the Senate now. There were some that had served in this place in the past. I'm thinking of the first Indigenous Senator Len Marchand, who was a friend of my father's and somebody that I knew as a kid who passed away some time ago. There is a long tradition of Indigenous people serving with honour in the Senate. I like the fact that so many Indigenous persons are currently serving in the Senate. I wouldn't purport to speak for future governments, and I don't, of course, make the appointments, but I'm happy when the government chooses Indigenous Canadians to serve here.